I recently downloaded a backup of my MP3s that I had previously uploaded to this service called Google Music, which then merged with YouTube, where like 10 years ago, I uploaded my entire MP3 music library to Google Music. And I wanted those MP3s back. So I investigated. Turns out you can download your MP3s from your Google account. So I downloaded a 50 gigabyte zip file, or like 10 gigabyte zip files, downloaded them, and I was left with what is essentially a folder of MP3 files, totally unorganized. Uh, some of the files were named with the track number and the track title. Some of them had more information. And so I had like a couple thousand songs or something like that in this one single folder. And I didn't want to necessarily drag and drop all those into the music app on Mac, or like I didn't want them all. I just wanted some of them, right? There were a few albums I knew I wanted that I would listen to. So I wanted to organize these files, right? I have this folder with all these files. I want to put them into an organized structure based on music, based on the artist and the album and the track number and the song title. So I went ahead and I wrote a Ruby script for this. And it made me realize and remember how fun it is to write code with Ruby and how great Ruby is as a general purpose scripting tool, where I think the major use of Ruby is Ruby on Rails for building web applications. And Ruby and Rails work really well for that. But Ruby can be used for so many different things. And one of them is these like one-off scripts, or scripts that you run on a regular basis, where Ruby is quite a bit more friendly to work with than Bash, in my opinion. And when you use Ruby every day, like I use Ruby every day for work, you get to know it really well, and you're able to write code without thinking too much about it or concerning yourself with it. Also, Ruby has a really great standard library and a lot of gems that can be used. So anyway, the goal is, let's take this directory of MP3s and organize them into files. I think this is a really nice introduction to Ruby without Rails. I think it's a good introduction into using Ruby for scripting and using Ruby for interacting with file system. So here I have tmux. In the left pane, we'll open up Vim. Don't worry too much about Vim. And here we just have a shell, and we're in this folder, and we have all those MP3s that I was just showing in Finder. Probably won't go to Finder too much until we're done, but let's dig in. So first place to start is we'll create our file. I'm just going to call it organize. I'm going to put an underscore so it's at the top, make it easy. I'm going to call it organize RB. So now we have organize RB. I wrote it, and you can see it's there at the bottom. We can run it if we run ruby organize underscore organize RB. It doesn't do anything, so let's make it do something. We'll just say puts hi. With these like little utility scripts, yeah, we could write tests and drive it out with TDD, but instead I think it's kind of fun to just script it, work with it, and since it's just going to be run once, not too worried about tests. So we've got it outputting hi. Let's do something else. Let's do puts dir.pwd, that's print working directory. So that outputs the current directory the script is being run in. And then let's, the basic gist of what we want to do is we want to loop through all those files, inspect their data, and then move them and organize them into folders. So the first thing I would do is make dir backup. So let's make a directory called backup. Maybe our script should do that, actually. Yeah, let's do that. I think what should happen is that, yeah, let's make dir a backup directory. So we'll do, maybe we delete that directory first too. Maybe we do dir dot. Let's go ahead and open up the Ruby standard library docs too. So I'm using this program called Dash, and Dash is really great for browsing the docs of programming languages. And let's go and see what we have. We have file utils in Ruby, which is a great module you can require to give you some nice commands to work with things. So we can rmrf, so remove recursively and force the backup directory. So let's do that first. So we got to require file utils. Let's file utils rmrf. So that's just like running rmrf that I did over there. Let's make a backup dir. We'll just call it backup. And then we'll rmrf the backup dir. And then we'll file utils make dir, backup dir. And oops, I got a typo here. So let's ls right now. Let's go ahead and we'll make dir backup. And we'll touch something in it just to have it there. Hi.text, right? So if we see that's there, now let's run our script. Okay, we've got an issue. Cannot load such file utils. Might not have the underscore. Run it again. Okay, now if we ls and backup, see there's nothing there. So we clean the backup dir. So we could even do something like puts cleaning up backup. Cleaning up backup directory. That can be nice to just let us know what we're doing. So cleaning up backup directory. Nothing's in there. So what we want to do is copy all of the MP3s into the backup directory, just in case if we mess things up as we write this script. It's an easy way to cover ourselves. So I think what we could do is, let's see what move does. I don't know if we can move everything with a star. Let's see. So let's try it. We'll do file utils dot. We'll actually want to use copy. So let's see what lr does. That's link. Let's do copy. Let's see what happens. So we do file utils dot cp star mp3, and we put it into backup dir. No such file star mp3. So we would want to do something like mp3 files is equal to. Another aspect to help with making this faster is you can open up IRB to see what we have and can kind of experiment. So dir glob, I think will get us what we want. That should get us all mp3s. Let's look at the docs for dir glob. So if we go to dir glob, expands the pattern, returns an array containing matching file names. So that gives us all the mp3 files in this directory. So we could say dir glob star mp3, and we can say copy mp3 files into the backup dir. Now let's run our script. Okay, and let's open backup in Finder and see what we have. So here we have all those files backed up. Now, with an SSD and plenty of space, not a big deal, doesn't use a ton of storage space. But if you have bigger files, this would be a problem. But I think for our case, it's actually really nice because when I originally wrote this script, I messed it up and didn't automate the backup process. So that would be nice. So let's say puts backing up MP3s. Great. So just there already, these are things that could be done with Bash, right? But we're about to get to the point where Ruby starts to be nice. So we've copied them to the backup. Each time we start, we clean up the backup, which I think is good because there's no, like we could restore from backup by just copying them out and stuff. So anyway, let's move on to the next part. And this is where I think Ruby starts to shine, where we can loop through each of the files and do something with them. So mp3 files that each do f, and that's the file name. And we could just do something as simple as puts f to start. And as you can see, it just output the file name, which is fine. So we'll do, we'll say something like organizing mp3s. Now, why we're using Ruby here and where this gets nice is that there's a gem that lets you inspect an MP3 file in Ruby and get the MP3 metadata. So let's go to Ruby gems and let's just search for ID3, because that's what those are called, ID3 tags. And we've got a couple of ones. We've got ID3 and ID3 tags. And there's another one, ID3 tag. So this ID3 tag has a lot more use, almost has 100,000 downloads compared to the others. So let's see if this is the one I want. Native Ruby, which is great, 100% coverage of the spec. So I think that's what we want. And you can see how to use it is we get mp3 file from file open, and then we'll get the tag info, and then we'll go from there. So I like this gem. This is what I used before, so let's close these others and let's install it. So just run gem install ID3 tag, so that's installed for use, and then we can require ID3 tag. And let's go ahead and load it. So we'll just follow those steps, right? File.open, f, it wants RB permissions, which I don't know what that is. R is read, but I don't know what that necessarily is. So let's call that mp3, and then we'll do tag is equal to id3 tag.read mp3. Now we have the tag. So let's go ahead and put some information from that tag that will let us know what information we've got. So just like from the README, we'll just do that and go from there. What is that? Title. So that should be track title. There might even be things like artist and some other things. So if we run that, now you can see we have a bit more data than we had before because those MP3s are tagged. Now, if the MP3s weren't tagged, you'd have to use like a different process to tag them. This wouldn't help you if you didn't have MP3s with tags. There is a software for that that uses the size of the file and to try to identify it. So if you do happen to have this problem, there's this app called, what is it? Let's see if I can find it. Oh yeah, it's called Music Brains Picard. So you could use that, generate the metadata, and then organize it yourself after. But let's not go down that rabbit hole now. But let's do, instead of that, let's do puts tag.inspect. That'll output a lot more info. Well, it didn't really. That's kind of hard to read. So that's not as useful. But let's output at least what we know we want. So what we're trying to get to is a folder structure that's artist, and then a slash, tag.album, and then a slash, tag. I don't know what the track number is, so we'll have to figure that out. Track NR. So let's now go ahead and run our script again. And we can see that that ran. And we've got a little more structure. So that's kind of like the directory we want to put them in. But I can already see an issue here where we have a slash for read music, speak Spanish. So that's going to cause an issue. And we'll have to fix that. And we don't have file names and stuff. So we'll do that in a sec. But we're certainly getting there. Let's go ahead and work on that step. So I want to, and let's go ahead and we'll put maybe instead of the backup dir, we could just copy each one instead of moving them. Well, nah, I like moving them, and then we'll have the backup directory. And then you could just delete the backup directory after. I think that's actually pretty good. So let's go ahead, and what we'll want to do is say file utils.makedir, and you can do _p to have it create directories if they don't exist. So if it's like, you know, artists foo bar, it'll create bar. Otherwise that would fail, right? Like if we do makedir foo bar, foo no such directory. But if you do makedir p, then it goes ahead and does that. So we'll clean that up though. We don't need the foo bar. So let's go ahead and pull up that info we have. So we'll do artist and album. To make sure that the directory is created. And then we'll do file, utils.move f, because we have f still, which is the file that we're working with. And we're going to move it to let's put dir in a variable so we have it to reference. And we're going to put the file in dir / the track number tag / title. And since we're working with MP3s, well, we could do something like this, right? If you take file dot dir, we'll do what we're doing up there, which is dir.glob mp3 first. So here we have an f. At the end, see how it's mp3? We'll do f, and it's a string, so we'll do f split period, and we'll grab the last one. That'll get us the file extension. So we'll do period here, and then we'll do f.split period dot last. That helps us, like you could imagine dir glob, like maybe you have like AAC files or awk files or a bunch of different ones. This would help maintain the file extension. So this says move f into the newly created dir above with track number and then the track title. Oh, but we also want to do album. Oh yeah, we did that up here, sorry. So let's go ahead and run our script and see what happens. So we just call Ruby organize RB, and we have a syntax error on line 22. Let's figure out what's there. I'm missing a closing paren. So we run it, and we run into a problem here, which says rename. We have a great big pile of leaves. Have you seen my prefrontal cortex? And we've got this problem here. Let's see if we open Finder, what it shows us. So we've got a great big pile of leaves. Have you seen my prefrontal cortex? Nothing's there. I think it's because there's a question mark in the album name. Or could it be something else? Let's see. Let's go ahead and clean this up. And let's try to figure out what's going on. So it's got a 1 here, a /1. And I truthfully don't know where that's coming from. Block and move. Let's look up the docs in case I'm misunderstanding. File utils and it's going to be move. So we call move. Guess we could force it. Oh, force with not exist. I wonder if that would create it. So maybe we wouldn't even need to do that. We could just do this force true. Let's put this in a variable. We'll call this new path. Let's run it again and see what happens. Okay, it says backing up MP3s, organizing MP3s. Let's see what we've got. That didn't do anything. So that force true didn't work. Let's undo that. Get back to here. Run it again. So we've got an issue there. I think it's because of this /1, which I don't know where that's coming from. So that's kind of surprising. Also, oh, I know the problem. Okay, here, let's inspect this file and learn from it. So if we require ID3 tag, and if we do the dir glob again, if we do file.read f and we do ID3 tag dot read from that. Oops. Oopsies. I'm supposed to do file open. There we go. Whoops. So we want this to be file.open rb. Great. So we've got our tag. And if you do underscore in IRB or in the Rails console, it just takes the last return value. So with tag, if we do tag.track_nr, you'll see that it's 1 of 13. That's our problem. So it's creating a slash. It's trying to put it in like 1/13, the directory, but we don't want that. So instead what we'll do is we'll say track num, and we'll say track nr.split/first. So if we take that and we do split/first, we get 1. Let's test it on maybe if it's just 10. We still get 10, so that will work. That will work nicely. And then here we just say track num. Great. Well, let's run it. Whoops. Forgot to put that there. So making a little progress, but it says no such file. So I wonder if it didn't. Oh, I got rid of the make dir. Let's bring that back. And we want to do make dir p. Sorry about that. Let's run it. I've got a typo. Run it again. And we see we got farther, which I think is pretty cool to see. So we've got these 3 folders, and let's go into it. So we've got Have You Seen My Prefrontal Cortex, and we've got all those songs. So that's cool. It's working, and we've got them organized. We've got brand new leaked demos with these songs, and we've got Desaparecidos. The album is called Read Music / Speak Spanish Remastered, but it split it into a separate directory. So that's an issue we want to fix. And then we'll also see, we've got a problem here. Whatever that means, I forget. But basically no such file or directory because there's a slash in the song title. So if we go back up to the directory, we've got a slash in it. And we want to fix that. You can see that the file name has a dash in it. So it's already kind of smart about that. and we're going to make our code smart about it. But let's go ahead and delete these ones. Let's go ahead and move what's in backup to the current directory. So we're back to our starting place. So glad we had the backup. And let's go ahead and make this a bit better. And let's put a little something at the end saying MP3s organized into libdir. I want to put them all in a directory. I think that'd be nice. So let's go ahead and say libdir. Let's call it library. Another nice thing about scripting in Ruby is that it's works. I don't know about the forward slashes, if that would work on Windows, but like Bash is only on Unix-like systems. So like these scripts would work in Windows too, which that's kind of nice that it's more cross-platform. These slashes might be a problem. I can't say for sure, but there's probably ways to do that that are cross-platform. But anyway, let's put these in libdir, and all we have to do there is just say libdir. That way, it's just slightly more organized. And let's fix that bug that we found. So we've got track number. That's pretty safe. We've got artist. And let's clean that up. So, because who knows what could be in the artist title. But our main concern right now is slashes. But there could be other invalid characters that we'd handle too. So let's say scrub invalid. And we'll make a method called scrub invalid that takes a string, and we'll do some stuff with that string. So I like the idea of just taking these out and running them all through it. So we'll do album is equal to scrub invalid tag.album scrub invalid. We've got the dir, we'll make the dir. We've got track num, that's fine. Let's go with title. Title is equal to scrub invalid tag.title. So we'll have a method that will clean everything up and make it easier to work with. So I think all we want to do is take the string gsub, which will find what we pass in, and we're going to say take forward slashes, and we'll say replace them with dash. Wonder if, yeah, that feels pretty good. And we've seen that already in the file names. And there's other times where this may happen, and like there might be other characters that are invalid that we want to fix. But let's see how this works for now with that simple approach. So found a typo, sub invalid, we got scrub invalid. Let's make that scrub invalid. Okay, it says MP3 is organized into library, and let's check it out. So let's go into library. We've got a great big pile of leaves. We've got the album name. Those are there. Let's go into Desaparecidos, and you can see here the album's titled Read Music - Speak Spanish Remastered. So we've like scrubbed the slash, which was causing us problems with the directory naming. And we've got all the songs, including this one, Survival of the Fittest / It's a Jungle Out There, is named, it's got a dash instead of the slash. So that's pretty good. That feels pretty good. That basically accomplishes what we wanted to. And you could do more scrubbing as needed. You could even, like, let's say you wanted to organize them and convert them. You could do more processing on the file in each step. Like maybe you wanted to convert them all into, like maybe you had a bunch of FLAC files and you want to convert them into MP3s or whatever. Ruby's, makes it really easy to script through these and make these little utility scripts with your file system. Let's do one last thing, which I think is quite fun, is handling when there are problems. So if we do echo invalid MP3 and we run it into invalid MP3, right? We can't invalid MP3, has the text invalid MP3 in it. Wow, I just said invalid MP3 a bunch of times. If we go here, invalid MP3, it's not actually an MP3 file, but it will be found in our dir globbing. So let's go ahead and delete library. Let's go ahead and move backup star back here. And we've got all of these files, including invalid MP3. It's really sorting in a weird way. Okay, now it's fixed. So there's invalid MP3. Let's run our script. You can see undefined method split for nil class. So what's happening is tag.trackNR is returning nil, and we're trying to split on nil, which is causing a problem. Everything else organized, but invalid MP3 didn't. So if we run it again, still have the same error because invalid MP3 wasn't organized. Let's go ahead and make our script quite a little bit nicer in that way. So what we'll say is, if we've got a couple ways we could go about this. We'll go about it the kind of utility way, because this is a utility script where it's not the nicest code, but it'll do the trick. We'll say required attributes are, we want track number, we want artist, album, type. And then what we can do is we'll say, if we'll say required, let's do something like this. We'll say, there's like a bunch of ways we can go about this in Ruby, which is kind of funny. But let's see, let's go back to where we started. Required adders. We'll say required adders.any. And we'll say tag.public send a nil. Let's make sure there's not a different way to do that. So in Ruby, this is using the enumerable module, which is great. And I just want to see, so we're calling any, and we're checking if any are nil. But maybe there's a different way to do that. I think that works. So we're saying if any of them are nil, then we'll say skip. So move to, or we'll say next, which goes to the next value in the loop, and we'll say puts skipping f missing required metadata. So now if we run that, got undefined method track num. Oh, I guess I meant track nr. And you can see here, skipping invalid MP3, missing required metadata. And if we go here, it's still there, but now it did an error, which if it was processing, like, let me show why that's important. If we move everything in backup here, whoops, did we? Oh, we lost backup. Well, if there was, let's take this one, and we'll call it valid, which comes after it technically. If we didn't do this, it never gets to valid because it errors beforehand. But now if we bring that back, it becomes valid. And valid got moved into that directory. Now, if there are duplicates, this automatically cleans up the duplicates, which is kind of nice. So that's kind of cool. And yeah, there are ways we could maybe clean this up, make this code better, but who cares? It does what it needs to, it cleans it up, handles errors like missing attributes pretty gracefully, and that's what I wanted to show you. It's, yeah, pretty useful. Another thing we could do is we could rescue standard error and like that's another option we could go about here. We could say rescue standard error E, so any error that inherits standard error, we'll say puts E. Next, let's see what that does. So it skips it and also rescues other errors, but I guess the metadata error is less specific. But you could have this checking for metadata and then rescuing to, right, where it's like, you know, anyway, that you can output it. So got different options, pretty quick to do, and pretty useful. So I find myself writing these kinds of scripts in Ruby on the regular. I think Ruby is really great for that, and it's great for interacting with the file system in that way. Really recommend learning, like reading and checking out file utils. File utils is really awesome, as is file, which can give you more information about a file, as is dir. So that's simple, fun scripting with Ruby. Thanks so much for watching, and take care. Bye.